Hi, my name is Paul Duren, and I'm back talking once again about networking. And today I'm really looking forward to the conversation. We have a great topic. And I'm joined by someone who has really put a lot of time, energy, effort, and thought into this particular topic. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from her. Um, and she's really focused on how networking should work. So, Lee, let's start here. Why don't you introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Paul. This is so much fun. My name is Leah Yoneda, and I'm a growth strategist, business development coach, and speaker. And I work extensively with accountants, lawyers, and financial services and other technical professions.
So this is great because that's kind of the professions I work with. So it's a match.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we've talked about this. It came up in our last conversation we had, which was that a lot of people are introverts, and they don't always feel comfortable networking. It's not a natural activity at times for them, but yet they're actually kind of built for it. And we're going to talk about that. So you're going to kind of get us on a track to rethink of what we've always been taught. So a lot of people, especially introverts, just feel like networking isn't for them. Why do you think that is?
There's a lot of shoulds in it. There's a lot of like, it should be about this, it should be about that. But just the way that networking is highly social, right? It's a lot of social interaction. It's talking, it's putting yourself out there. And for whatever reason, introverts, and you can't change this about yourself, but introverts feel depleted after extended social interaction. Extroverts, by contrast, feel energized. So it's really about how you feel recharged or how you spend that fuel, your fuel. And if you're gonna, put a ton of effort, like it's just extra effort. It's like there's a grade where maybe it's a different exercise for an extrovert, so it just takes a lot more energy.
Do you think that comes from the traditional way networking is talked? I mean, you talked last time about how someone gets up there for an hour during a lunchtime and says, gather as many business cards as you can and talk to everybody and
Right.
all that.
The typical lunch and learn. That I think a part of it has to do with how we are taught, but there's just something about being an introvert that's just kind of how the world works for us. Like, for example, after a really long conference or any kind of conference, I want to take like a week off. Like I want to pop some popcorn, play video games and watch TV and just zone out for a while because I am depleted. And that's sort of a natural cycle for me. So, yeah, it just sort of is. But the other side of it is there hasn't been a lot of education around how introverts can do this in a way that actually works better for them and gives them even better results. So that's what I love talking about.
Yeah, because the data is actually pointing in a different direction. Like you and I talked about before. I mean, Wolf and Moser, who's a well-known study on this, shows that maintaining relationships it's more about relationships over time
Yeah,
that drives more success out of these. You gain more success in your career, you gain more success in a lot of things in life by being a relationship builder, and
that's
that you don't
right.
have to
So
just kind of work it all over.
here's the study that you're talking to. It was brought over to us from the American Psychological Association, but the basic findings were pretty surprising that constantly making new connections was way less important than maintaining your existing relationships. And that really like, wow, that's different. That's really different.
And so I think this is kind of where it gets interesting because this is telling me that introverts tend to go deeper in conversation. They tend to listen more. They think before they respond. And how do these strengths translate into better networking outcomes?
It's exceptional. It's such a tragedy that there's such an extroverted style of networking taught, but introverts have like the best tools. So networking is strategic, right? You want to be in the right place at the right time. And I think planning ahead and giving some thought and researching is one of the classic introverted strengths. Another thing that we're showing is, excuse me, any given network, is that top between 10 and 5% that gives you the most bang for your buck, whether it's referrals or ideas or collaborations or something like that. Well, those are very few relationships actually that yield those big results. Introverts are great at developing deep long-term relationships. We're really great about, being thoughtful. Sometimes if you put all these traits on a slide, it might look like we're saints or totally awesome, perfect people, but we're not. We're totally normal humans. But there are these classic strengths that if you are thoughtful in relationships and interactions and communication, you are going to get a much better response. It sounds more authentic, it's more personable, it's more meaningful. And so the reasons we stay in relationship and connection with people are very thoughtful, purposeful, meaningful, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, and we've talked about this before, that the follow-up, which introverts tend to do thoughtfully, like you said,
Mhm.
and it's just that, we talked about this in some practical terms, and talked about how we all get that lunch and learn, we get the bag lunch, and we're told, hey, go collect 20 business cards, do this, do that. And that isn't a strategy that works for everybody. So what should an introvert do differently when they get there? I mean, I think this is very important stuff.
Yeah, and again, want to kind of say it starts way before you get there is like making sure you're going to something that has more than just, a sales component to it, which is sort of the typical reason why people are networking. I even go so far as to tell people you need to break the connection in your mind between sales and networking. They're different things. So networking is about creating meaningful relationships. Sales is a very specific type of transaction. So if you approach it just like, hey, I'm here to learn something new, I'm here to support someone who's speaking at this event or being recognized, or I'm here to hang out with my colleagues and this other former colleague who now works at a different firm, those are non sales reasons to be there. And there are so many good reasons to show up, like community, information, intel, inspiration, all kinds of amazing things that make showing up really, really important. So I think when we connect as introverts with that part, it's a different kind of ROI for us. So you go
Yeah.
into this thing not because you should, but because you want to. It's a different magnitude. The second thing is you need to give yourself permission to do what feels right for you. So if you have two very deep conversations and that's it, that's what you do. And you don't have to ask permission or validation from anybody. Some
Yeah.
people come early, leave early,
Hmm.
all kinds of tips and tricks, but I call it reducing friction. So if you were to
Yeah.
take all the opportunities you could to reduce friction around this effort, you could come up with some great ideas. Checklists, email templates for follow up, make it easy. Boom, 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 boom. Don't even do the business card thing. Keep everything digital. If you can come up with a system in any other area of your life, you can come up with a system. So reduce the friction. And then the last part I always tell people is about like come up with your own metrics and ROI measurement because you're going to want to understand. Most of us are nerds, in the technical professions and in those in professional services. We really like data. So can you come up with some data for yourself? Like, was this worth my time? Was I
Yeah.
learning anything new? Was I meeting new people and that sort of thing? So that is a metric you determine that's going to work for you.
But I think, and I'm going to go a little bit beyond that a little bit, because sometimes it's the type of questions you don't have to follow that normal pitch of what do you do, which is the most common asked but least appreciated question.
Mhm.
It's really kind of finding out about what the other person does. The pressure's off of you. Let them talk.
I think we talked about this last time is my favorite trick
Yeah.
is ask more questions. Like if
Yeah.
you talk 10% and they talk 90%, that is perfectly okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of where you build. You're just the listening post. And I think that's very important because that takes pressure off. Things that take pressure
So
off.
much pressure off. There's no performance here. It's just showing up,
Yeah.
being yourself, and kind of navigating your way through this environment.
Now, I found one little trick in the middle of networking events. I usually am in charge of it, so I usually kind of find a way to excuse myself. But I've literally stepped outside of the room, found a bench where it's quiet, sit down for a few minutes, take the load off my feet, my back, just sit there and finish my drink, and then go back in.
So what does that do for you?
It just gets me settled down and just keeps me clear. And I think it just recenters me and just makes it easier to just go back and I can recharge. Because, yeah, you're on. When you're in a networking event, you're on. And that's what feels the pressure. So take a minute and get off. Take a break, go back, and it's okay.
Mini breaks
You don't
are
have to be on all the time.
mini breaks are one of my favorite hacks of all time, and it is just like you can excuse yourself if you wanna go refill your glass or get something else or talk to someone else, but I do that pretty much at any even gathering at my own house. I'll take a break.
Like I
It's
said, it's my own events.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, if you were to kind of just demonstrate and itemize all these little things that actually make it work for us as introverts, it would look pretty strange on paper. But who cares?
That's the whole thing is that take the pressure off yourself. There's no perfect. There's no right or wrong. Make a contact, as we've talked before. Just get a few contacts, start off with that. You don't have to know 20 people. Studies show that you can make 3 or 4 good contacts. That's really what's going to pay off. Those are the quality
Yeah.
relationships. And I'm going to go back to another point that you said. It reminds me of something else that I did on another conversation about this, which was, the sales, breaking out sales and networking.
It's
You are
almost like a
never going
dissection.
to, but you're never going to sell anything in that room.
No,
That room is not set up for sales.
no, 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 no. Um, it's a part of an ecosystem and a broader environment meant to bring business benefit. But can we expand the definition of business benefit? Collaboration, new ideas and inspiration, helping find each other jobs when things are hard. Market intel. I absolutely love getting market intelligence. There are nerds out there that are so good at keeping up on very particular news. I am
Oh,
not.
yeah.
And so I access their brains for that. But can we expand our understanding of what is beneficial to not only your work life, but your personal life? But sales is a different conversation. There's a definite boundary where it turns into a sales conversation. It becomes an opportunity. And before then, don't worry about it. Just don't worry about
That's
it.
done in the follow up. That's done after you get to know each other and it's a lot more comfortable and you've built up trust. Becomes a little easier conversation. So I'm going to kind of change this around as we're wrapping it up. But, obviously, I'm one of the reasons I'm doing this is we have an event coming up, the ABC event. And I think it's actually a great place for introverts because we've got some small group events in it with brewery tours and they're conversation starters. They don't have to be the typical, what do you do? And then the conversation stalls. It's, hey, wow, that's kind of neat. Did you see that beer coming out unfiltered? I don't know if you've been to Gordon Biersch, but they've always done a
I
great job with their
adore Gordon
tours.
Biersch.
It's a fun tour. And you get a chance just to be with a small group. That's another way to get a break.
Mhm.
And so I think that, kind of my next question is how does that help introverts? Find a way to get to a small group. I mean,
Yeah. The power is unleashed in the small group. So, a lot of these networking groups try to find draws that are interesting, they're fresh and new. I know a group that goes hiking, another group goes pickleballing and another group does volunteer trash pickup. You know, th- the reason for that is you don't have to sit there and pretend to do this other stuff that feels very performative. Is you're actually there for a different purpose. And it's interesting and it's fun. That's the whole point. I want to just ask the introverts out there. Imagine if you had to create all your own networking spaces on your very own. Like you had to put a dinner together. You had to put a conference together. No, you get to just go and show up. All logistics are taken care of for you. The expectation is taken care of for you that we're here to talk and get to know each other. So don't forget that part. There's a benefit to joining groups and to being a part of a thing. I don't know. I'm not ever just there just for one thing. I like a variety of reasons to be at a place. And
yeah.
it's great. It can be great.
And what I also know is that time and time again, it's not the most outgoing person in the room that walks away with the most meaningful connections.
This,
And
yeah, yeah.
because what you watch is that guy who aggressively works the room, one irritates people, but
It
they
can.
do.
He can.
I think of people I've had to control over the years at these events, but they don't follow up. They just turn and burn, and people never hear from them again.
Paul, I'm
It's
gonna
the
push
people
back
who
on that. Like, we know that type, but I have known some exceptional,
Mm,
dyed-in-the-wool extrovert people who are incredible. They do work the rooms and they do follow up and they're the real deal.
there are some, yeah.
There are some like that, and there is a case in point, I kind of lobbed a question out to the ether recently, said, "Hey, working the room, is it all that?" Not always, but if you're a host or you've invited people to be there, I think you should connect with them while they're there and welcome them, right? Like, that would be tragic for you to be sort of
Yeah.
isolated, but working the room has a specific purpose, and it can be the thing you need to do, but often it is not. Almost always it is not. So I'm gonna say, you know, people who look like naturals, they might have an advantage, but you have your own advantages. And so don't judge everything from the outside.
Oh yeah, you can't compare yourself to another person, I
You're gonna
think.
do it
But I
differently.
do think that the person who takes their time is deliberate about it and, listens, builds trust is the person in the long run who comes out ahead.
It's really
And
about trust. Yeah.
and when you do it over and over again, it compounds.
That's the part I love about the Moser and Wolf study is that they talked about a network that exists over the lifetime, not just a career or a job, but over a
Yeah.
lifetime that inputs into those relationships compound like interest, just like your retirement
Yes.
account. And what I loved about that is that when you invest, it stays and grows. It doesn't just like it's not one and done. And I love that because,
No.
again,
Yeah.
for me as an introvert, putting that effort out there is extra hard. It's not just twice as hard. It does take me twice as much energy as an extrovert. It maybe takes me 5 or 10 times more effort to do certain things for whatever reason. But I love the idea that my effort was going to compound over time and retain its value.
And that goes back to the whole thing we've been saying. You don't have to meet everyone in the room. You just have to meet the people that you want to meet, have the quality conversations,
Yeah.
follow up. And over time, it will make a huge difference. Now, before I go here, because I know that we've talked about the ABC event, but you're doing something for introverts coming up here.
Yes. I'm so excited about this, Paul. I've been collecting all these tidbits over the years. I've been, in this sort of marketing biz dev space for professional services for 25 years. And I've seen the best and some not so best things. But I have put together, I'm so excited for the first time, a class, a cohort that will go in depth into putting together a design, a system, a point of view that's going to last you a really long time. We're going to break down like how things work. We're going to create you're going to walk out of this class with a strategy of your very own that's customized to you. And yes, this class means, you should go and attend an event, but come back. We're going to talk about the ROI. And it's a whole thing. Very excited about it. If you're interested, please join us.
Yeah. And I just think that, and it wasn't exactly this, we're not doing the conversation necessarily to push something, but I want to let people know because it is something that you do. This is your area of expertise. This is what you're doing with people and firms.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
but I think in a world that's 50%, 30 to 50%, according to estimates, but let's say 50% introvert, someone's got to talk to them. They've been getting ignored. We want to include them. So again, if you like what we're doing, share the video, comment, let us know, reach out. I'll be around on May 12th over at Gordon Biersch, and I'm always available. And I'm not out there like I used to be, but as a guy who's put together a couple hundred events and been to thousands of them, I can always
And
give you some hints, and Lee's available too.
and if you go, at least you'll know Paul, right? Like there's someone
Yeah,
there.
I'm kind of hard to miss, and
I am actually planning on attending as well. I'm making every effort to be there too. So that should be really fun. So if
we'll
you
talk
have seen
about
this
that.
video and you
Yeah.
show up, please say hello. It would be so great.
Yes. We'd love to talk with you some more and hear what you think. So join us. Thanks for your time. Like I said, like, share, and we look forward to meeting with you in person. Thanks.
Have a great one.